this. We didn't say, let's just talk about it and see what happens. We said, no, this is what we're doing. Like, this is what we're doing, and we're going to make it happen. And when that shift occurs, and it will at some point, we're going to be there, and we're going to be ready to go.
And just really quickly about the throwing the food away, one of the things that they're talking about a lot also is that's part of the curriculum. And you can introduce the food in, you know, we do school field trips at the farm. And I ask the teacher, how do you want me to tailor it? Do you want it to be on nutrition and wellness? Do you want it to be a plant science or a biology lesson? What do you want the children to receive? And that's marketing. Marketing/education, that's the same thing. You got to market to the kids. Those kids are marketed chicken nuggets. They're marketed Captain Crunch. They're marketed all that stuff. So we just have to market it to them too. And that's, you know, I'm not saying that the schools don't really have anything better to do than like add to their curriculum and stuff, but it should, if we're going to be a community, which we are, it's a way to integrate all of those things together to serve our children in that case, or to serve sick people in hospitals, you know, or to serve seniors. It's just, you know, it's our goal to serve.
My husband did, one of his jobs was to be the pear bear from Oregon pears or Washington pears, and that's what they did. He went and he was the pear bear and he marketed to those kids.
Right.
What about pears? And handed it out
Right.
and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
All right.
Well, just quick, there's an assumption that kids won't eat foods that are unknown or new. My son is in early grade school, and there was one day, I think it was 2 years ago, where they had falafel, and they ran out because the kids were so excited about it. And he came home and he told me about it, and I was like, oh wow, I wonder why they did that, because they didn't tell us that they were like throwing out this new thing. I was like, maybe they're introducing something new. And he was like, yeah, everybody loved it. And that's, I mean, that's the thing, is like, you can't assume that they don't like it, because
They're not assuming it. This is a history. I mean,
no, but that's the thing, is like, I mean, I don't know if it, I mean, kind of catch on
no,
the way
they
from
look at
things,
the
but like
trash
the
cans
food
and see what's
revolution.
there.
No, I know, but it comes with a little bit of education. Yes, you can't just put it in front of them and say, here, eat this, like, random, who knows what it, but like, if you make it exciting, you see other kids eating it, you know, you maybe have a little bit of the class or the farm or something. Like if you've seen the Jamie Oliver's Food Revolution, like it goes through that in his series, and the kids do transform very easily. I mean, not in the first bit. There's a little bit, but I mean within weeks. You know, and so the thing is we need to not have that be a barrier. We need to talk about the things that they're doing, because that's the real barrier. We can educate the kids. We can, I mean, that can be changed. That's not the real barrier. That's our own. But we have real institutional issues that we have to fix before it can become a reality. And I don't want people to like say, like, just because they do throw it away, because kids can't change very easily. It's the red tape that doesn't.
Yeah, you're right.
In the brown shirt.
My two kids that are both at San Diego Unified and told me the reason they won't eat the lunches, they won't eat the fruit, is because it doesn't taste like real fruit. The kiwis are rock hard. My kids like kiwis. They won't eat those kiwis. The salad is bag iceberg with a lousy dressing. It's not worth eating. The grapes are mushy and flavorless. Sliced processed apples do not taste like apples. It's not that they won't eat fruit and vegetables. I won't eat that kind of fruit and vegetables. And when you see McDonald's advertising that it has all these healthy sides, we went there, we have a 3-year-old, and we got her the apples. She loves apples. She eats 2 apples a day at home. She bit into it, and ew, what is this? And she wouldn't eat it.
And a lot of that is because the food comes from a million miles away. And so I think if the food only comes from 20 miles away, it's going to be a big difference.
And it's not right.
Right.
And it's just not good food, and that's why the kids throw away.
Yeah.
Are you going to try to work through the state preschool programs? Because I know right now there's a little bit more funding that's seeming to come through the state preschool. It might be a little bit of a smaller market, but...
Girl, we'll work with anybody, right? Who wants the food? We want to get it to the people. We don't care who we work with, you know?
I was going to second that, comment about kids, because I taught parent education, and it starts in the preschool, and it starts with turnips, raw turnips, real thinly sliced. The kids were just gobbling them up. Oh, this is so interesting. Oh, it's kind of spicy. Can you imagine a kid just eating a turnip for no reason at all? But these were fresh out of the ground.
Yeah.
Just another, case example, but I spoke to a chef doing some really cool things at a school in San Francisco, and he said what he's done, number one, not only does he work very closely with the teachers, you're studying India in your geography class, we're going to try to make some Indian food in the cafeteria, so really pairing it with the curriculum, but they also have I tried a new food today stickers, and the kids eat it up, and that's, just a big piece of encouraging the mentality of, it's new, I'm open to it, instead of the default being, it's new, I'm close to it. And that, goes beyond food. That's a lifestyle way of thinking, and that's really important to use food as a platform to teach children that. And the fact that I tried a new food today sticker is, a rave at this school to me is just another example of how much possibility there is.
Yeah.
I guess I'm curious about what different food groups might be able to be incorporated into the program. I know that I've seen that local meat processing is like this huge stumbling block, and it's a problem that's not going to be easily solved, like reinstating the local slaughterhouse or mobile slaughterhouses, and also bringing the potential for bringing starches and carbohydrates in as well, as opposed, obvious. Personally, I know that for myself, I've come to understand, the basis of a healthy diet is like clean, pure water, fruits and vegetables. But a lot of times, especially with kids, they really like the carbohydrates, and it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to get full and stay energized off just fruits and vegetables. And so, has there been any kind of forward movement or good news in the arena of local meat processing or procurement in general?
At our last monthly meeting, we had a couple ranchers show up, cattle and hog ranchers, and that was the first time, and we've been pretty passive, but wanting to have that participation. I'd love to have a full representation of like a good healthy diet, including dairy and eggs and meat. So there's this other group that we didn't know anything about that is working on trying to get mobile slaughtering facilities. The closest slaughtering facility is in Los Angeles. There's also one in Pomona, I think, as well, at the university there that can be used on occasion. If you've heard about the mobile slaughtering facility up on the Central Coast with the Central Coast Ag Network, it's hard. You need a USDA inspector there at all times, and having that person on a very, irregular basis is not easy because that person's schedule is not tied in with the harvesting schedule of the animals. And I spoke to the hog rancher that was at the meeting, and she said that those growers could easily do the type of coordination that we're doing with when they get their animals pregnant, so that they're ready to be harvested on this continual cycle. I don't know anything about raising animals, but there are some animals that you can continually harvest, and others that you can't. Just like you can continually harvest carrots and beets because you can grow them all year round. There's certain animals that are not the same way. So there's that coordination piece, and I've put them in touch with our development consultant, and we're trying to bring it full circle and make sure that we have this full system going. Just on top of that, with Prop 2, if anyone doesn't know, Prop 2 is about animal confinement. In 2015, all animal producers need to provide certain confinement situations for their animals. So it's mostly, there can be no more battery cages for poultry, and pigs need to be able to move around, and same with